Hi, everybody. It's Tina Brinkley Potts, and welcome to this episode of Amplify Your Expertise. I'm really excited today because, I met Brooke a few years ago, and it was funny because I met her in San Antonio. Then we realized we knew people. I knew people that were in her family, and that she actually lived in Atlanta, where I'm at all the time. So it was like all of those synchronicities was just really going on. But I'm really excited to bring Brooke on today simply because I love what Brooke does. Even though I talk more about business and this, that, and the other, I really am real big in how the universe works. I'm real big in understanding energy and God, the universe, whatever it is that you want to call it. I have so many relatives that are of different religious backgrounds that I never wanted to be one of those people that said it had to be this way over that way, because to me that made it kind of feel weird. Okay, so if I'm saying that this is better, then that means all of these people that are in my family, that there's something wrong with that. So that could never be my version. And when I've watched Brooke, I'm that little stalker, on social media, right? That's kind of watching what's going on. When I watch her talk about things, I really love the way that she presents it. And so I asked Brooke to come on today so we can talk about a concept of waiting when you're ready to start that business, waiting when you're ready to lose weight and find that soulmate, whatever it is. But I just want to talk about what really happens, because we all only worry about the senses, the five senses that we have, right? But there's more to that. And when you create that energy of waiting, how it actually starts putting up the blocks for you. So I'm gonna let Brooke introduce herself though before I get too far in. Brooke, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So Brooke, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am a metaphysical practitioner, and I have a background also in mental health. So my master's is in professional counseling in mental health, and I am a metaphysical practitioner. And really what that is a minister in kind of mind, body, spirit, kind of religion, if you will, or just believing that God is in everything, being present, that kind of thing. I'm a minister in metaphysics. So, I've been doing work mostly with women, with women's self-discovery, since 2003.
Okay.
When I wrote my first book, it was about women succeeding in relationships, like self-care and also choosing a good mate and then working effectively in that relationship. And my latest book is called Love God Herself, and it's more about mindfulness, healing, yoga, and just self-healing modalities to expand our spirituality, because we're going to church less and less, as a country, maybe as a world. People are just going to church less and less. So, but we still need that connection, and we still need that spirituality. So the latest book is about that connection and that spirituality. So I also do classes, online classes, retreats for women, individual, group, and couples, spiritual guidance counseling. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. And so, because you have, 3 books now, right?
Two books.
Mm-hmm. 2 books, okay. 2 books.
And I have two or three more that I'm writing, but
okay.
two right now.
Yeah, 2 books. Okay. So, Brooke, let's jump right into what we're really doing to ourselves when we're waiting. When we keep putting everything outside ourselves that is way down the road instead of right here with us now. So let's get started in that.
Well, I think most importantly, what we're doing to ourselves when we're waiting is that we're projecting fear, and we're believing, fearful thoughts. So there's a couple of things that kind of need to happen for us to move forward into our purpose and our dream and what all the things that we want, our wonderful lives. Because, you know, we're made in God's image. That's in the Bible. I believe that we're made in the image and likeness of God. And so if we're made in the image and likeness of God, I don't think that that's a physical image. I think that's more like our spiritual image. So if God is perfection and justice and love and courage and limitless and creative and all these wonderful things, so then we ask ourselves, if we're made in that likeness and image, why are we not able to access that readily? And one of the reasons why we're not able to access that readily is because we have a lot of labeling and chatter and titles and expectations and roles that we play for others. All these things that we pile on top of that image that we're made in. And we start to believe that we're those things instead of who we truly are. So in order to get into that good life and that, you know, that thing that feels like everything's just working for us and we're just able to handle it all, in order to get into that vibration, we kind of have to clear away all the other stuff that we think we are and all the chatter. So, because once we have that clarity and we pave the way for our purpose and for the things that are for us, it's easy. So when we have something that we say we want to do, like I remember hearing myself say, like I would say, you know, I want to work with women. I really want to work with women. You know, I was getting couples work, I was doing marriages, and I was doing all these other things, but I wanted to work more with women. And I want to do retreats and I want to work with women. And then the next thing I would say after that was, but women only want to hear from men. They want to hear from Steve Harveys and people, these guys who are telling them the wrong information. Women don't want to hear from women. They want to hear from men. And so I'm out here telling the universe that I say I want one thing, but I backed it right up with some negative chatter. And so I had to really evaluate. One day I just kind of, and you know, you got to get quiet. You got to have some kind of spiritual practice. Meditation, yoga, sitting out in nature, music, whatever. You have to have some kind of connection every day, reading, cooking, something that just elevates your spirit so that you can start to hear because God is ever talking to you, ever reaching for you, ever guiding you. But we can't hear it because we have all this other stuff going on. So one day I heard Spirit say to me, you say you want to work with women, but then you immediately follow up with but this, but that. And I was doing that in a lot of different areas in my life, not just in that particular area, but a lot of areas. So my answer was to write an affirmation. That's because I find that when I write it down on paper and I write it 3 times and I say it 3 times a day, and I'm not always as diligent about doing it all the time. It's just that when I realize there's an area that I need to work on, or that where I'm pushing against myself by speaking against what I truly want and I'm not being clear, that I use affirmations to help me be clear. So I wrote down the affirmations that said, you know, hey, women trust me and they want to pay me because they believe in their own healing. So it was actually everything that I had built up in this negative belief system. I refuted it through affirmations. Hey, women trust me. They want to pay me. They want to pay for their own healing. And that's when things started to, you know, open up for me, where I didn't have to start doing free services all the time, going to free things here and there, free this and free that. I started actually getting money, you know, getting paid, being trusted. And it was because I had written that down. It became clear. So if we want to move forward, we have to take the lead. First, we have to get clear. And once we're clear, we see the opportunities because they're all around us. You know, God has.
So before you go any further, because I mean, Brooke was just like giving all of these little jewels, right? Like she was giving a whole bunch and she wasn't stopping, but we got to break them down. So I got to pull her back just for a minute. Okay. First one. She was butting all over herself. She said it, right? And what I want you to know is anytime you're using the conjunctions, you're calling it and you're pushing it away at the same exact time. And it's only a practice. So we're going to get more, I'm going to let Brooke really dive into a practice in a second. But it's just a habit that we've been practicing. And so when you learn, because we all learn, remember what was that Schoolhouse Rock? Those conjunction, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, conjunctions are not your friend. Anytime you're saying but, however, all of these things, you're calling it and then pushing it away. So just remember that. So hold on, because Brooke was saying a lot. Then she said that she started affirmations. She said she wasn't perfect about it, but she put them into practice. Sometimes when we let go of that perfection and we just put it into practice and we just start leaning more towards what we want instead of the part that we had believing in our head, then we can start seeing evidence of it. She said she stopped, she said it was, the free work was still there, but she started getting paid more and more because she was changing it in the inside. So now she can see what was coming towards her. So I needed to break those two things down. But the most important one is, Brooke, did you feel like you were living a self-fulfilling prophecy when you were saying they don't want to listen to me, they want to listen to a man? And so once you started changing what you were saying to yourself, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy again.
Yes, it really did. And and for me, I could feel it vibrationally. Like when you get into that complaining, fearful kind of groove and rut, it feels like a drain on your spirit. You know what I mean? It's like this has this, they don't want me, I don't know how to do it, I'm that shy, but when you can bring yourself up to a higher vibration, a higher elevation where all the blessings are, and because what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose by believing the best?
Yes. Let's jump into, for those who don't know, because not everybody's going to understand what vibration is. So let's kind of just talk a little bit. What is vibration? Well, I should, regardless of if you're talking about business or a soulmate or losing weight or whatever, do you need to pay attention and understand what vibration is?
Well, what I really like to say for lay people who are not metaphysicians is vibrations are just lifting your spirit. So reaching for what in the Bible it says, whatever is good, whatever is kind, whatever is pure, believe in those things. So that's the scripture about vibration right there. So in whatever, believe what is the highest, and not, and believe what, don't be afraid of it feeling impossible or phony or fake or unreal or getting your hopes up and all these kinds of idioms that we say to keep us down. Believe for the highest. So it's really just having faith, being grateful. It's not as simple. Like people like to make it seem like it's this, airy fairy thing, but it's really just as simple as saying, I want more, but I'm thankful for what I have. That brings you to a high vibration.
So I'm going to add some science to this.
Okay,
because just like Brooke said, most people would want to discount what we're saying right now, and I'm going to tell you to stick, because this is not airy-fairy, regardless of which way we want to approach it, whether I'm approaching it from a spirituality. But now I'm going to jump into some neuroscience. There is a person by the name of Dr. David Hawkins. I think his first name was David, but his last name was definitely Hawkins. He wrote a book called Power versus Force, and he also developed what is now called the scales of consciousness, right? And so they gave everybody, they gave this calibration to pretty much everything. And so lower level, the bottom of the scale is shame and guilt. That vibrates at about a 20, and then enlightenment, right, vibrates at 1,000. Now, there aren't anyone that we know of right now that's vibrating at about 1,000. But like, if you think of, they said Gandhi was somewhere.
If you think of Jesus or Yeshua, you think of Martin Luther King, people like that, Gandhi, you know, Mother Teresa, those are people who vibrate very high.
Yeah, they were vibrating in the 750s and this, that, and the other when they were calibrated. So at the middle of the scale is love. Love is at 500. So 0,000, love is at 500. Not the yearning, oh, I love, not that kind of love. Unconditional love of, you know, and then when you start that feeling of everything is okay, right?
Yeah.
Like
that opening of your heart.
That opening of your heart. Yes. So don't dismiss this. So like a lot of times when you, there was somebody who wrote about the perfect morning and talked about gratitude and part of his practice in the morning. The vibration of gratitude is somewhere around 650 to 700. So now you're over love. So like, that's what these things mean. So if you want to start seeing something change in your life, you want to get to love or above. So I just wanted to throw that in because you did such a good job saying, like, you know, people think it's airy-fairy, but you were given like specific examples in the Bible and this, that, and the other. But now what we know is science and spirituality are really beginning to merge.
Yes.
Like, it's just like you can hear them say the same thing. There might not, but they're speaking the language of their audience. So a science is going to speak it, and he's going to use words that mean something to a scientific audience.
Right.
Someone in spirituality is going to use, it's just a different language.
It's, you know, it's all, you're right. It's all converging. Science, psychology, spirituality, biology, mind, body, spirit. It's all coming together. It's all converging. You're right. And that is, and maybe I'm going too far here, but I'm just going to say a thing.
Go on, say a thing.
That is because we're in a different age now. Like you might have remember around 2012, people were talking about the Mayan calendar, blah, 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 what it all meant and why did it end. It ended because that age was over. So now we're in what they call the age of Aquarius, and we're just going into it. And so we're seeing a lot of turmoil and it feels tumultuous, but really we're moving to a high vibration as a world. As a world, we're moving higher. And so things that are lower are falling away. You know, there's, you know, maybe I'm going too far.
Say whatever you want.
There are certain groups of people that are not able to make it up higher. They're committing suicide. There are things happening.
Yeah.
And there's reports happening.
And don't you believe that that's because that belief system that they've had for so long, they're finding that evidently it's not true. They keep butting up against it. And they don't know. They just, it becomes like, I just don't know then. Yeah, because spirit is everything that I believe is falling apart. Yeah. Not kind of being willing to explore the other side. Is staying stuck in that everything I believe is falling apart. Yeah, it's spirit is ever reaching to us, guiding us, talking to us, asking us to evolve. Yes. That's what we're here for, to evolve. Yes. And so that evolving is still going to a higher vibration. Yes. That's what we're here for, to go higher. Yes. And that is not just me or you, that's everybody. Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, people wearing the MAGA hats, everybody. And these are just people I just named off people who get stuck in my crawl, but you know, people who get stuck in your crawl, they're all ever being talked to by God, reached, you know, guided to go further. But you know, if they have all that cloudiness where they can't hear, it's not getting through. So after a while,
you just start to begin to think, I don't know what it's about anymore.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you give up in some way. You either, you know, and it's just, you know, we're moving to a higher vibration as a world. And so we're seeing a lot of shifts, a lot of things happening, a lot of people not able to make the leap, but we're evolving. And so that's part of, back to what you were saying about being still stagnant, not going forward, waiting. That's because you're not believing that it's all here for you.
Or holding to a belief that is no longer serving you.
That is no longer serving you.
When spirit's pulling you forward, right?
Right. And that's what I talk about in my latest book, that, you know, as Black women, we were brought to America, or to the Americas, all throughout Brazil, everything. We, in the transatlantic slave trade, our role was to take care of the white man's things. And that meant him, his family, his children, his wife, his house, his fields, our families, our men, all that belonged to the white man. Right. And our role as Black women was to take care of all the white man's things. Mm-hmm. And so we're still, in a way, out here taking care of the white man's things, and we're not getting credit for it. But we're starting to wake up to this idea that that role that was thrust upon us, or else death, that we don't have to serve that role anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, so, and you know, the part that I love is, isn't it a wonderful time such as this?
Yes.
Because here right now, 2019, what I know is that this world needs some healing. And if we've always been in a position of being nurturers, and this is just who I am. I'm a nurturer. Like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be all in. You are too. You are nurturers. And right now in this shift, where so many people are screaming and hollering and complaining and everything like in turmoil, we need a new kind of leader. We need leaders who are going to stand up and start.
And that is exactly what my position is in the book. Yeah. That now it's time to take care of self, because we are needed in that way. Do you know? You probably know this. Black women are the largest number of people getting degrees in America right now.
Yeah, I do know.
And so we're evolving in that way, in that we know we need to get the knowledge, and we know we're good leaders, but we also have to you're no good without your vehicle.
Right.
You know what I mean? The only way you can survive here on this earth is keeping your house up and keeping your vehicle in shape. Mm-hmm. So my position is that we need to spend more time taking care of ourselves, because that role of having to take care of other people's stuff is no longer for us. Mm. Now we are supposed to lead and use all the knowledge that our ancestors have given us, and all the knowledge that they gained, to lead us into this higher vibration. But we can't do it if we're not going into self-discovery, if we're not forgiving, if we're not forgiving ourselves, if we're not forgiving.
Another thing too, because I love where you're going with this. I'm really loving this. But could it also be that we have to remember we don't have to take on everything as it was prescribed to us. Right?
Yes.
One of the things that I like, Brooke, there was so many times I was going back. I was just going to go back to school. I started my business so I could go back and finish a law degree, right? So that I could have the flexibility.
To study,
off, okay? Yeah. So there was never time to go back to get the law degree.
Right.
And I was talking to a Black female psychiatrist in New York. I mean, she, 2 practices, like she's doing the thing. And I was with her, and we were in Sag Harbor, and, we were talking about it, and I was like, I'm going back, one day I'm going to get back and do it, right? And I was holding it as that thing that I was waiting for, okay? And I was saying to her, I was like, I'm going to go back, because you know, well, she started digging, right? It was almost like she put her psychiatrist hat on for me. She was like, well,
Yeah.
why are you going back? I was like, well, you know, I'd always wanted to be a sports agent. Sports agents have to be, attorneys. And she was like, oh, no, LeBron James has proved that wrong.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then I was like, well, I just want to go back just to do it, right? And so then she started breaking things down. Are you doing that, Tina, so that somebody will approve of you?
Yes.
Because I gotta tell you, like, not only did she have me doing stuff for attorneys across like these people with all of these letters behind their names are my clients.
Right.
And she says, so you're ready to jump back in that fire where they're trying to come out?
Right.
Really? And so I had to start looking at that. I had to really start digging on, was that the thing that was really keeping me stuck?
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to be enough right now
Mm-hmm.
and stand on being enough right now,
right,
and going to get what was right there for me. Because again, like most of my clients do got about 10 letters behind their name.
Yeah, yeah.
So I love what you're saying, because isn't that all a part of it, is that we've had so many people telling us, whichever version it might be, because everybody's version is going to be different, but there's so many people have been telling us what's the right way, what's the wrong way, that when we start butting up to the part that we've claimed, that's where the wall happens and we start waiting.
Right. It's absolutely true. And what's so interesting, Tina, I've done several retreats, probably about 7, between my own and other people's.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they're always with Black women. Every retreat that I ever worked with is always Black women. It's not anybody else. So that's my target market. That's just who it is. Yeah. So every time, we go through this exercise about what was expected of us at home, or what was expected of us at school or in the community. And most assuredly, about 98% of the time, the expectation is, to be a good girl, to do the work, to take care of a sibling, to, do what I'm told, to be quiet, all these kinds of things that, in my opinion, are related to slavery and also oppression of women and oppression of Black people. Mm-hmm. Keep it quiet. Don't say anything. Do your job, head down, follow the rules. Nothing, even as a child, there's no expectation that you should play, that you should just play with your dolls, that you should just have fun. No, it was all these huge responsibilities on 5-year-olds, 7, 6. I had to take care of 2 and 3 siblings, all these kinds of things. And it really does, in my opinion, stem from our history here in this country. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about having to prove something, mm-hmm. even when we get into these high functioning positions, mm-hmm. and these multiple degrees, mm-hmm. a lot of times it's still to prove that we're good girls, that we can follow the rules, that we can go through the system. Enough. Yeah, that we're good enough, that we can do what you want us to do. And we ignore that thing we're really here to do. Mm-hmm. That thing that's pulling us inside. Mm-hmm. We ignore that because we want to, we want to break the cycles. Mm-hmm. We want to, do all the things that everybody wants us to do. We want to prove, like you said, we're good enough. Mm-hmm. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. And meanwhile, we're stuffing ourselves with food. We're drinking too much. We're eating too much. We're sexing too much. We're doing all these extra things to try to get the hormones, the happy hormones that we need just to function. Mm-hmm. Because mm-hmm. when we're not able to express who we are, mm-hmm. then we become depressed. Mm-hmm. And part of that depression is just stuffing ourselves, doing all the things to fight the depression, we do all the things that bring us just a little bit of happy hormones, a little bit of serotonin, a little bit of endorphins, a little bit of dopamine, so that we can make it through another day. Whereas, if we adopted more holistic practices, we would get more of an even and balanced distribution. I'm going to say that's not what I'm trying to think of the word, but amounts. We would get the proper amount of endorphins that we need, so that we be on an even keel. But right now, we're using a little chocolate to keep us going, a little alcohol, a little weed, all these things to just keep us so that we can get out of bed. That's really a hormonal thing, to just try to get out of bed. Because, and this is the majority, this is not just Black women, this is the majority of Americans, maybe the majority of the world.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because of things,
we have an opioid crisis, and
yes,
most of that opioid crisis is not
people of color. It's not
people of color, and and some of these things were actually created by pharmaceutical companies. So we're not even
because that's
the dependency of it. Because I think you hit on something really big there. The dependency of it. If you talked about mental health and you didn't say it in the right way, people made it as if you were picking on people that had mental health issues. So it became too okay to depend on pharmaceuticals to be the relief.
Well, and that's part of the reason why, when I got done with my master's degree and I did a year internship in a hospital, so there was a lot of dependence on, the clients that I saw were depression, substance abuse, and just acute mental health episodes. But there was a lot of dependence. It was a hospital, so there was a lot of dependence on pharmaceuticals. And they're also, and I feel like, this is my opinion, this is only Brooke's opinion. I feel like when you start to depend on a pill for something, then you also just become really accustomed to something outside of yourself trying to fix the problem. And so, I was a counseling intern, and I dealt with talk therapy. But a lot of the clients still had we would see them several times, and they still sort of had the mentality that, hey, I'm here now, you be my pill and fix me. I dragged myself in here, now you fix me. And so and that's what made me go into research. Once I got done, I graduated, I went into research as opposed to actually practicing and doing therapy. Because I just could not get with this idea that you are not a part of your own healing. And so once,
and if we circle that back to our conversation, right, about the waiting. Isn't that what it is?
Again, it's about you. It's about you being a part of your solution.
And understanding that your solution is inside of you. It's internal.
That's right.
Instead of some outside validation that you're waiting for.
Exactly. And we wait for the right conditions.
Yeah.
And the right promotion and the right amount of money and this and that. And we wait for all these things, and time is just going. It's the commodity we can't redo. It's just going and going. And we're here to evolve. We came into this experience to go higher. But you get caught in the minutia of labels, titles, roles, responsibilities, this feelings, blah, 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 experiences, all these different things. And you forget that you're here to add your piece to this solution so that the whole world can evolve. You as an individual are needed to do your piece and your part. And so when we wait and we stand at the edge and I don't know, and this happened, and the reason why I can't do what I'm supposed to do is because of my husband, and then he didn't pay me child support, and I can't do it because this trauma had happened to me, and I've never been right. I can't do it because I lost somebody, and now I can't move forward. No, all of these things that happen in your life, guess what? They're happening in the lives of other people too. But so everybody has this wonderful, intricate life of losses and gains and traumas and dramas. Everybody.
Everybody.
And it's all here not to punish you, not as a cruel joke, but it's here as part of your personal evolution, your personal traumas, your personal drama, your personal challenges are here for your personal purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that you can get to that is by healing, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, self-discovery, really asking yourself those deep questions.
Yes.
Asking yourself those questions that you haven't taken a minute to ask. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just asking the questions and saying, okay, I get it. And you can move forward.
Yeah.
But when you just bury it, suppress it, eat it, drink it, keep it, smoke it, you can't.
But isn't that what it is, though? I mean, because I think that was just such an important point. Most people, this conversation that we're having right now, for the audience that's watching, I can tell you that some people just want to escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are ready to click out of it. If you haven't clicked out yet, don't, because I'm going to tell you something. You're going to keep going around and around and around and around this issue until you do exactly what she just said.
Yeah.
Like if you're ready to be over this, right? And I don't care which version. Like I don't care if you're looking for that soulmate. I don't care if you're looking to get increased sales in your business. I don't care which version it is. But when you start getting ready to ask the question, what do I need to know here? What do I need to lose in order to gain? What I got to give up in order to gain what it is that I want? When you change it to an inner focus instead of this person isn't doing or that person, like this is the ticket to getting through it. And not needing to live it again and to be able to move on to the next level.
Right.
To avoid this, do you have to keep circling around?
And it gets worse.
In the sky, right? They keep circling around.
And it gets worse, though. It gets worse.
And it gets worse.
Every time it comes around, it's worse.
It's deeper. Yeah.
It's worse until you get the message.
Until you get the message. Wow. 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 So, I know you guys wanted this little surface answer about what that waiting was going to be, but we wasn't going to be surface at all today. So, Brooke, let's kind of jump back into so what are some concrete steps if you feel like you've been waiting, whatever you're waiting to do, you really want this, and so the desire is in your heart, so that means your spirit is kind of co-signing it, right? That there's something in that for you. Just understand that's what desire means.
Yeah.
Something in that for you. But there's something that's keeping you from doing it because you're in that waiting game. Brooke, what's the first thing you would tell somebody to do?
The first thing I would tell people to do is to find their oneness. And I know that might sound airy-fairy, but I'm going to tell you there's easy ways to do that.
Okay.
You can make a playlist. You can start stretching, breathing. You can sit quietly and look at nature. You could take a cup of tea and just sit quietly. It's your space. It's your time. You can read something that uplifts you every day. It could be spiritual or it could just be something funny, but what it really is taking that time where you're not out here sending out rockets all around about what people need, attending to everyone else, looking at what gossip's going on, this, that, and the next thing. It's where you just sit with yourself and do something for you. And sometimes, you can do that consistently for 20 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you
breaking the addiction.
Yeah. If you can get to something like that, and that might not be your first step. Your first step might be getting a gratitude journal and writing 5 things down in your gratitude journal in the morning and at night.
Mm-hmm.
It might be getting just a little daily. I read a thing called the Daily Thought that comes from my church, but you can get any little daily devotional. It's a 1-pager.
Mm-hmm.
Read a 1-pager. It takes you 5 minutes, if that, to read 1 page of inspiration. Find an Instagram that inspires you. Find a YouTube that inspires you. Something that becomes a ritual of upliftment for you. And then you can grow it. You might grow it into meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates, whatever. You might grow it in any area, whatever feels good to you. You might become a Pentecostal. You want to go to church every week and shout, and that's your release, or a couple times a week. That, all of those are valid pathways to spirituality, but a lot of times the pathways to spirituality starts with just taking time for you.
Yes.
Something that is just about you, because inside of you is God. So once you start taking time for you, it's just a natural cycle that will lead you to God. But first you got to take time for you, for real.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean getting your nails done or having this decadent chocolate. I mean, it's really like, just let me sit and think with nothing, with no vices.
So you're talking about the true definition of self-care and not what everybody has turned it into.
Yes, it's not self-indulgence. Yeah. It's self-care. Because people have turned self-indulgence into self-care, and that's just feeding more addiction. Yeah. I'm talking about self-care, sitting in the park. Today,
breaking the cycle of needing to be stimulated.
Yes, that's self-indulgence. Yeah, and we're talking about just kind of pulling away. Let me take a minute. And let me make that a ritual. And if you have the benefit, I have the benefit of a beautiful deck. And sometimes I go out there, especially when it's warm. I sit out there. That's my spot. I also have the benefit of this room that I'm in right now. This is my yoga room, my studio. You might not have the benefit of that, but you might be able to sit out on your porch. You might be able to sit in a closet for 5 minutes. You might just be able to tell people in your family, hey, this bedroom right now is off limits for right now.
Real, it could be just when you going into the bathroom. I gotta tell you something.
That's what my husband does.
When my kids was little, I felt like that was my only time to myself when I went in the bathroom. So even if that's all it is, because even if that's all it is, take those moments. Breathe deeply.
Yes.
Ask yourself the questions. And then just get to as much of stillness as you possibly can.
And every day you will become used to it and love it and want to go back to it. And the more that you're in touch with yourself, the more you'll realize that, okay, it might be this particular song has been on my spirit. I might play it 5 times, 10 maybe. And that's what I'm doing today. And that healed me. But tomorrow I need to stretch. And the next day I need to go to a different song. This day I need to read. But that comes with the practice of studying you. And the practice of studying you leads you to your spirituality.
And you are enough. And knowing that you are enough, that means you can have your own version. And I think that's what was beautiful about what Brooke just got finished saying, is she didn't try to give you a one prescription version and saying this is the only way to it, because it's not. It has to be internalized and felt by you. So you gotta it's time to make yourself okay with figuring out what's good for you.
being okay with what resonates in your spirit.
And
being okay with that.
mm-hmm.
That is such, because again, when we're not okay with it, it's because of the chatter. What they told us in Sunday school and Sabbath school, what they told us at school was right. What television told us is how we need to be. There's all these different things speaking to us about how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And we should all over ourselves, and we butt all over ourselves. And, you know, it's about what you just said, being okay with what is in there, with what resonates with you.
That's right.
Knowing that, and that's also a part of the age of Aquarius, is looking not to a hierarchy to tell you what your spirituality is, but looking within yourself and looking to each other. As you probably noticed that you can, a lot of times, if you cultivate your environment, your social media environment, you can actually open it up and become inspired. If you're cultivating it. If you're not cultivating it, you know, it can make you feel bad.
Yeah, because if you're feeding your addictions, right? Being addicted to the trauma, being addicted to just needing to be stimulated, that's something different. And so, you know, just taking these moments, as Brooke is telling you, is going to help you break those addictions to those things, because it's keeping the barrier between what it is you truly want and what it is and what is right there for you. You know, I can tell you, like, when I used to hear some of these quotes, right? Let's just leave them as quotes. I used to be like, man, that sounds like such crap. But, you know, there are some things that are really true. There are opportunities all around you, every day, all day, specifically for you. If there is a thing that you want, there is 99 paths to it. 99 paths. It's just that you might have made some judgments already that this is the only way it can come. So because you've made that judgment, you can't see anything else. And the reason most of the time our judgments just comes in, biases and judgments are the things that are shaping our lives. And when we decide that we're willing to relieve different biases, different judgments, and allow them to open back up, you can start seeing opportunity for what it really is. So if I were looking for that one thing to just piggyback off of what Brooke was just saying, it really is to get still, to be still and know. Find 5 minutes. But I'm also going to want to talk about the flip side. For every minute that, like, if you're going to start with 5 minutes today, as Brooke was saying, reading a devotional or whatever, I want you to give yourself another break of 5 minutes off of those things you were doing too. So now you're at the 10 minutes. So if you're constantly looking at people on social media downing somebody else, right? Give yourself a break give yourself a 5-minute break from that political crap today, right? Like whatever it is you have to do, whichever side you're on. But if you just start adding the space, because in that space, something else can fill up. And it can't happen until you're willing to open that space up.
Right.
But, Brooke, now I want to get one more thing. So, like, let's talk about, because what you said, and I love this, you said when most people are waiting, it normally goes back to a fear, right? It goes back to a fear that they have. Kind of talk about that a little bit more, because I don't think we really elaborated on that, and I think that was important.
Well, I'll give you an example of what happened in my life. Back in the end of 2007, 2008, when the recession was happening, just starting out, my husband and I, we own an advertising business. We still own that business, but we had an office, like off-site, you know, a loft office. We had our home, a rental under that. So, and then we also had a duplex. So we had 3 rentals. We had an office. We had 3 cars. Blah, 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 all of it, you know, all the trappings that you would have. And I felt suffocated, strangled, tied down, and I wanted to leave Atlanta so badly. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, because I had a rental office and these places that places that I own. I was just like, I'll never be able to get out of here. I just don't know how. We had our whole community, everything. So I went to New Jersey to visit my mother. She was having knee surgery, and I stayed there, I think, about a week, maybe 2 weeks. And prior to that, I was saying, the world is a pressure cooker, and it's just, everybody's so cruel and all this kinds of things. The world is just a terrible place. I went home, and everybody was so nice, and it was like somebody had just let the air out of a big balloon, and I was just like breathing. So I came back home, and I said to my husband, we're leaving, because I had been toying with the idea for a long time. I said, we're leaving Atlanta. And he was like, all right, like whatever. So I was like, yeah, we're, but I had this absolute moment of clarity. I was no longer afraid of how I was going to release all the trappings. I was, no longer afraid of any of that. I had this moment of clarity, and I said, we're leaving. So I sent that to the universe. We're leaving, and I guess God finally said, okay, you finally got it. That's what you want to do. So we went on our regular vacation. This was in March. We went on our vacation in April, spring break. We came back, and I didn't pay a credit card on time. I was a little late with it. I didn't think the recession was going to hit me. I saw it happening. We had some clients that had us doing work because they were, real estate clients, but I had good loans and stuff. I just didn't think it was going to hit me. So we put a deposit into our business account, and we owed them like $500 for a credit card. The deposit we put in there was about $3,000. They took that whole $3,000 and put it on the credit card. They said, you're not getting it back. And so that started a cascade effect of not being able to pay a mortgage, and then another mortgage, and then blah, 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 blah. So over the next 2 years, all the things that I thought had me tied down, held down, and I couldn't breathe, they just
started going away.
Started popping away. Foreclosed on our property in Gwinnett County, our duplex. Short sold on the house we lived in. Came out of the office that we have and moved our business at home. Went down to one car. Got rid of private school. Started homeschooling the kids. Everything started just like became better. I used to feel so guilty about not cooking my kids healthy meals. I was forced to start cooking at home. I had to go back to thinking about how my mother used to do it, because I would just be grabbing what I could, going out, blah, 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 blah. That's how I lived, feeling guilty. But the recession said, get that flour and that sugar.
Don't make it scratch, right?
Yeah, go back to go way, way back to the raw ingredients. So all of that, all the while, I was afraid. I was saying, I was allowing it, but I was scared. I was really scared because I thought all those things were me. And I thought, we had built all those things, and I thought we were losing. But at the same time, God would be guiding me through dreams and all these different ways, right there with me, helping me through this dark tunnel. So we decided we were going to move to Florida. And when we got to the point, and our business started picking up again, because we were in advertising, magazines were going out of business. Yep. And that's what most of our work was, putting stuff in magazines. They were going out of business, so, and everybody thought they could go to social media, and we, it was 2007. We didn't know how to do that. You know what I mean? We were doing print and billboards and television. We didn't know. So now we do both, all of it. You know what I mean? But back then we were just like, so business started picking up after a while. And so we got enough money that we could have saved our house that we were in. So we had gotten enough money. We could have put that on the house and stayed there. stayed in the same existence that we were in. But instead, we decided to take a leap of faith. We took that same money and we paid a year's worth of rent in Florida. And we rented a house and we just pretty much went to the beach every day. Trying to heal, because while all this was happening, my mother-in-law had died, my father-in-law had died. So we also were just feeling this great sense of loss. So we just spent a lot of time just pretty much on the beach for a year, just healing. And after that, my husband took a job in Texas, and that's when we met. I was living in Texas at that time. And then I'm back in Atlanta now. But that whole experience of where it appeared to be lost, and it felt really scary, really opened up our lives. Like every aspect of our lives. Our children were educated better because we were homeschooling them now. My daughter's 17. She is a sophomore in college. You know, she's at Georgia State, 17. She'll be 18 in March, but she's already a sophomore. My oldest daughter, she got a scholarship in music and academics, all because of homeschool and bringing it in, being a better family. We still have one car. We still work out of the house. Because we ended up going, after he left the job in Texas, we went back and started our business back. We had kept it part-time, but we went back and started it full-time again. So, and meanwhile, I went back to school for what I really wanted to do. Because another part of this is I told my husband, I had joined my husband, I left public health counseling, research and mental health research, and I joined my husband's advertising business. And I told him, I'll give you 5 years. So when all this was happening with the recession, we were already into 6 years of me being there. And I was like, hey, this is partly why he went to Texas and we went and got a job. He went and got a job. I said, hey, I told you I would give you 5 years. It's been 6. I really would kind of like to go back to, trying to live my purpose. So I went back to school. I became a metaphysical practitioner, and I'm living my purpose. Now, I still work with my husband part-time, and we're still doing all of that together. But if I had not had the courage when things were falling apart, and so you got to notice that when things are, if you have the belief deep down in your heart that God is not punishing you, and God is not here to hurt you, and God is not here to test you or show you things, but has your back wholeheartedly and only is here to evolve you, as my husband says, embiggen you. That's the word he likes to say. God is just here to embiggen you, but here to evolve you and make you bigger. If you have that belief in your heart, then you know that when things start falling apart, they're meant to fall apart.
Because he was giving you what you wanted.
That's right.
Like as you're telling me this story now, right? I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, she was saying that she was feeling trapped. And so she didn't move on her own, so God moved for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I got that moment of clarity, where I surrendered and I said, yes, we're going. And that's what it takes for any time to move forward. Now, you might not like what happens after you get that moment of clarity. It might not be pretty, but keep that faith. You know what I mean? When you get that moment of clarity and you surrender to it and you allow it, you don't come up and say, but, you don't say how, you don't say anything. You just say, yes, this is what I want and I'm not afraid of it. This is what I want. I'm not afraid of it. I don't know how it's going to happen. This is what I want. And God will start making that happen. And so that's what happened. Everything in that old house, that old way of living in Atlanta, all of that disintegrated, fell apart. It wasn't for me anymore. It was nothing else to hold on to. That wasn't our life anymore. And we got this new life. We started taking our kids to the Grand Canyon, Los Angeles, places they had never been. Yosemite, just living this big adventure that we didn't know was out there.
Wow.
Much bigger existence.
Wow.
And and that's how it's been. Just living the dream.
Wow.
And all of that stuff. And now I adopt this way of buying used and selling what I don't need. And you know what I mean? Getting off of Facebook or Craigslist and just thrift shops, all of that stuff. When I left out of my old house and it was time to go, I had this huge yard sale. I had packages of things where we would just go to Target, shopaholics, buying things that we had hopes and dreams for, but never even opened the package.
Oh, wow.
Overbuying, blah, blah, blah. Not buying 5 ketchups because you didn't know, totally not present in your life. 5 ketchups because you didn't know you had ketchup. Overbuying, things over and over again because you're not present in your own life. You're chasing the things that you think are your life. You're chasing your business. You're chasing your, all this illusion that you think is your life. And that's what I knew in my heart. This is not it. This is not it. This is not it. But I didn't know what was it and how to get out of it and what to do. And once all I needed was that moment of clarity, that fearless moment of clarity, and whoo. Wow. And I'm very happy now.
Wow.
I just don't feel that level of anxiety and all those things that I used to feel. It's just a whole different world for me.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. I normally ask, that's normally one of the last questions I ask is, tell me something that to the outside world might have appeared to be a failure, but it was actually setting you up. And Brooke already kind of just delivered that. She just gave that like 100%. I mean, there's so many levels in that story right there. I mean, just the fact of when you declare something and you want it, even if you're not moving towards it, it's coming towards you. So, and this is really good for this whole waiting concept. Even though you may be waiting, it's coming towards you. So you can smooth the road if you want by facing that fear and starting to move and allowing the fear to fall away.
Yeah, and because another thing in my story is we did have a moment.
Yeah.
Where we could have backtracked.
Yes.
We could when we finally did get to money.
When you had the money, you could have paid for that one, and you said no. Y'all kept going.
Yeah.
And lived on the beach, which sounded like that was just what you needed and what you wanted. Yeah.
And it was amazing. But that is a thing that people need to recognize, that you get the revelation of what you want, then you surrender to that revelation, and then you're going to get an opportunity to practice the thing that you say you wanted.
Yeah.
And that's going to be what might feel like your challenge.
Yeah.
And you might make a mistake and make the wrong choice and have to go back, and it might get worse and that kind of thing. But when you get that revelation and you surrender to it, then you have to keep the courage and just keep saying yes. Because, you're going to get the opportunity to practice it.
Wow.
It's not, because remember, you're evolving. Yeah. And so just like when you're lifting weights, you can't get the good body without actually doing the work. So you might get a revelation, hey, I need to lose weight. I need to get some of that and go to the gym. And then you might get the opportunity, okay, I'm going to go get the gym membership. But then if you don't actually do the work, you haven't completed the task.
You haven't completed it.
And so that's how it's going to be in your other parts of your life as well. You get the revelation, I want to start this business. You go do the steps to do it, and then you have to, when it feels like, oh, go back to my job, you have to keep the courage, open your heart, and keep moving with the vision.
Yeah.
Even though you might get scared, you might go on, I'm going to say monster, because I ain't looked for a job since 2005.
Right. I don't know who out there is. Yeah. I haven't done that job thing in a long
time. So and I could even use me getting out of the corporate world as another example, but you will get that opportunity to say to the universe, yes, this is what I want. And you got to open your heart, have that courage, and go forward, instead of saying, no, I think, you say you wanted out of a marriage, you sick, he's not right. This is not for you. You want something better. And then he has an affair. And he said he want to run off with the other lady. He said he want to, and instead of you saying, "Woo, oh happy day, peace out, my brother," you'll be like, "Will he just come back?" And then when and then you get your life somewhat together, and then he wants to come back. That's your moment to decide: do you move forward or do you go back to that misery?
Okay, so she really just went right there on you guys today, but it's the truth, right? Because there's so many women, Brooke, I get this all the time, that will be, "Oh, I can't stand them. I don't want them no more, this, that, and the other." Now, you done put the call out. You done put the call out, and then, but you're not doing anything. You're staying right there. But you put the call out. So then these things happen, and now it's like, "Oh no, I want them back." This, that, or the other.
And then you have to decide, were you serious?
Yeah,
are you going to be fearless? Are you going to be fearless? Or are you going to try to go back to something that's disintegrated? It's over. It's not there for you anymore.
Yeah, you got to pick a side. Or on the other side, if you were sitting there saying all of these things, but this guy really has 80% of what it is that you want, you could start amplifying the 80% of what you want, instead of that 20%
and
that you don't want.
And that's gratitude.
You got to pick a side.
Yeah, and that's gratitude right there.
That's gratitude.
And that's usually when my husband and I, we go into spiritual couples counseling, and that's one of the first things that we start with. You know, they like to try to get all in it. He did, she did that. We don't usually do that. Yeah. We usually do with evaluating what you bring to the table. And one of the things, our homework is write out a gratitude list for yourself. Send your mate a gratitude with, a text with 5 things that you because that is amplifying the 80%.
Yeah, amplifying the 80%.
Yeah, and you may find that your vision was just wrong. Your vision was just a little cloudy.
That's back on owning it yourself. As you can see, there's a theme here. We keep going back to owning it yourself and stop making it about the external. But man, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But that's a good one though. I mean, it's really the truth. So Brooke, if you wanted to give one last thing of, if you're in that habit of waiting right now, what's that one last thing you would want to say to somebody that's watching this who's in the habit of waiting?
I would say, what you waiting on? I mean, I had a person, she's not a client of mine, but she's actually a business partner of mine, but we have a business relationship. But it always seems that I'm kind of doing some counseling there. She called me, she had this great idea. Next time I talked to her, she cowered away from the great idea, and the bad situation that she was in got even worse. And so what I said to her was, jump! Jump! It's time to move. It's time to go. Don't you see this is over? The situation has disintegrated. It's time to go. You've been given the vision. You've been given the path. Now do whatever it takes. If it means inboxing people who you think cared about you, or you did anything for, and asking them to cash app you $5 so that you can go forward, whatever it takes. Set aside your pride. That's a big part of what holds us, right? Set aside your ego, set aside your pride, set aside the things you think you're attached to, set aside how you think you look in the eyes of other people, and go all the way for your happiness.
Yes.
Go all the way for the thing that's pulled you. Go towards the vision. It wasn't a fake vision. It's a real vision. Have faith in it, and know that if you leap off the side of the building, God will give you wings. It might be a little bumpy, but you're going, you know what I mean? Do it. That's what I would really say. What are you waiting for? If you're clear that is your vision, and you're clear, make sure you're clear. And make sure you're not doing it because your mama said, your cousin said, because you want to show them, because you finally going to show that teacher who had you, not for none of those reasons. No, because something deep inside of you is calling you to this greater purpose and to this evolution, and you're clear about that. And you're clear that this next step is going to bring you closer to that evolution. Then don't wait.
Yeah.
Because you will be supported. Have the faith. You don't wait.
Yeah.
Sell everything, whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
Let go of your 7-bedroom house. That's what we did. You know, do whatever you have to do.
Whatever you have to do.
And on the other side is this amazing life. And know that, you know, there's going to be some healing and self-forgiveness and all of that. I make it sound, you know, like it was just like, hey, I released the house and it was awesome. No, there's shame involved with being caught in a recession. There's, you know, all that. There's all kinds of, you know, feeling not worthy. You know, you're in your vision, but it's dark sometimes. So know that it's going to be dark. It might be dark.
And have some tools for the darkness.
Yeah, it might be scary, but you know, our major tool was the beach.
Yeah.
Whenever it felt dark, we had the sunshine. You know, everybody doesn't have that wonderful grand plan, but you should have something.
Absolutely. So, Brooke, tell people how they can get in touch with you, because again, when you're ready to make a leap and you're ready to make a change, you want, you know, as Brooke just says, we can make it all. We're telling you the story, but when you're in the story, there are those dark parts. There are those things. The best thing to do is have some tools, and Brooke would be a great tool. She can give you tools in order to go on your self journey. So, Brooke, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
The best way to get in touch with me is to go to Brooke Brimm, and that's BROOKE BRIMM, like Mary.com. And from there, you would find my Instagram. You can inbox me. You could find my Facebook. You can inbox me, or you can contact me right on my website. My phone number's there as well. You know, I have lots of retreats. I do sessions, online sessions, all kinds of things that, you know, you go to my website and you'll find all that good stuff. And you can also, when you go to my website, you'll see a little opt-in. You can put your email there. But if you want to contact me directly, go straight to my contact page or hit me up on social media. It's all Brooke Brimm on social media.
Awesome. Well, Brooke, I really enjoyed the session today. Wow. You know, waiting is a thing that, again, it's either fear or it's pushing against a belief that you are ready to let go. It's normally one or the other. And I think we really kind of hit it in all kinds of ways today. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, I have to also thank you, because I have never forgotten 2-3 years ago, we got on a free consultation call because I sure couldn't afford your services. And you gave me a wonderful free consultation call that really gave me some clarity and some help that helped with my brand. Even though I'm in advertising, you still need help with your brand and just simple things you don't think about. Common sense things that you helped me with that were amazing. So I just want to say thank you for that. And that I am a believer in Tina Brinkley Potts and all that she does, because, you know, and I always say to myself in the back of my mind, you know, when I really, really can afford Tina.
Oh my God, bro. But you know, again, I just have to say, you know, synchronicities are something else, because, you know, I met you now that you're telling me that story. I met you in Texas.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm doing a talk down there. We had a wonderful time that week.
Yeah, we were both speaking at a conference down there.
Yeah, we were both speaking at a conference there. And, you know, just how when you're calling stuff, things come into your life. And just like Brooke said, even we did a consultation and everything, and that was fine. And she got what she needed from just that. She didn't, you know, and I get what I need from showing up. See, that's the other thing that we forget to do. We forget that we just got to show up. It don't always have to end the way, you know, it don't always have to end in a sale. You're going to get what you need out of the situation. And I am a firm believer in that. So, yeah, absolutely. So, Brooke, thanks so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
I'm so excited about this interview, and I know that this is going to serve so many people.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
I'll see you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.